Alright, what's up guys? So in this new video I'm going to be talking about doing some speculation on the Civic Si. Recently we saw some test mules driving about that are Civic Si, and Honda has confirmed that the Civic Si is coming out along with the Type R. So I'm going to be focusing this videos on Honda's middle child, the Honda Civic Si, and what it could bring to the table. So these spy shots have surfaced on a site called Civic XI Forums, Civic 11 Forums in Roman numerals. So this is break down on the hypothesis of what I think this car is going to be. So right off the bat, the cars that we saw were sedans. So this pretty much eliminates the possibility of a Civic hatch right off the bat. Why? Because I don't think Honda would build two versions of a niche sports sedan / hatchback. So it would make sense if it was a coupe model because 2 doors versus 4, but I don't think they would build two versions of the same 4-door car except in hatch and sedan. Well, but this could kind of be a good thing because the spy shots I saw of the hatchback aren't too hot, so it's kind of good that we get this sleek sedan in the SI form. But anyway, let's move on from that. There were 2 different test mules that we saw with slight variations in between them. So from what we see, it's going to retain pretty much a similar bumper from what we saw on the Civic prototype. One of the models had bumper headlights. I kind of like how the bumper headlights looked with the car, and I think it would kind of make it more of that sporty Japanese feel. In terms of design, I would really like that. And the Civic Si seems to have the base LED headlights. This is kind of a bummer. Honda kind of redesigned the current Civic Si to have the upgraded headlights that we see on the touring trims. And I know in Canada they've had the Civic Si with the touring headlights for a while now. And it seems on this prototype that they go back to the base Civic headlights that we saw on the prototype instead of the upgraded ones that we see in the patents and also in other test mules as well. So that kind of sucks. In that little spy shot that we see on the side, it seems to have quite a similar wheel to what we see on the prototype model. And I kind of like the wheel on the prototype model, so it would be cool if they included this on that model. But many of the Civic reveals that we've seen, there have been some optional Mugen rims or some special rims, HRE rims or something like that. So maybe these rims that are being shown might be that, but hopefully they're the standard rims, and it'll be pretty beautiful to see. Moving to the rear, it looks like what we have is a ducktail spoiler. It'll be interesting kind of to see how they implement it with the current Civic design. I kind of like ducktail spoilers, that little lip on there, so I think it'll look pretty good overall. We don't actually see any rear spy shots because the person who was recording this got this off a dash cam, so we do not get to see any rear spy shots. But I do hope they kind of keep the similar muffler exhaust setup that they do on the Civic prototype. The only thing I wish is that they make the exhaust actually louder. The current Type R and the current Civic Si do not have the best sounding exhaust. Hyundai has been killing them with the pops of the Veloster end and the Elantra end, and Honda needs to step up their game in this department. And of course, in the interior, they'll have probably a similar setup to the current Civic interior that we're seeing, except they'll have some Sport Si seats. I like how I kind of hope they kind of do like a cross between like the Honda seats and the Volkswagen seats on the new Golf GTI 8. I think that would look really good on it. But until it's actually revealed, we'll have no idea except the basic layout of how it will work. Now this is the biggest part of the Civic Si. What is going to be powering this car? So the first and maybe the most likely option is going to be that same 1.5 liter turbocharged engine that we see on the current car. I will say that the Honda really needs to turn up the power in order to be somewhat competitive with the GTI, the GLI, the Veloster, and the new Elantra, and WRX. Toyota's coming out with a GR Corolla, of course, but with this engine, I know Honda can tune this engine so it produces about 230 horsepower and the 210s of torque. I think that would be a good power number. I'm not sure how that would affect reliability and if Honda would do that. So that's why I think that the best option would be to include the 2.0 liter turbo that we see on the Type R, the Honda Accord, and the TLX. Now this would be a dream if Honda did this in the new Civic Si. They can make the Accord makes with this power setup makes about 252 horsepower, and what they can do is they can turn down the boost of the turbo, or they can put a smaller turbo on there to kind of regulate power. But I think as the current cars stand out, I think kind of 240 and 250 would be a good amount. The Golf 8 is going to be a 240 car. All the other competitors in the space that aren't N-Line or GT line are going to be 240 and up. So Honda kind of needs to get the power number perfect. And this would kind of make the Civic Si kind of like a mini Type R, which would be cool. I think when you have like the top of the line model, you kind of want that mini version of it. Kind of like an affordable, well mannered, best of both worlds in terms of comfort and performance model of that. Just like the GTI is with the Golf R. And I feel like putting that 2.0 2-liter turbo in the Civic Si would kind of make it that car. Now the thing would be that might be concern is price. So the current Civic Si is about $26,000 when you're including destination. If you were to upgrade to the 2.0 turbo, it might become a $28,000 car, but I think they can still keep it relatively affordable. An example is how the Veloster N came out. It was a $27,000 car to start out. Actually, I think it was $25,000, and then with the performance pack, it was $27,000. I might have to research that. I'm not sure, but. And then you have competitors like the Golf GLI, which is also a $27,000 car. So I think what Honda can do is they can just do what they did with the current Civic Si, add all the performance suspension upgrades on there, and then make it based off of EX trim. And what they can do for customers who want stuff like maybe a premium audio sound or a digital display, that'll be on this upcoming Civic, or even LED lights that'll be on the new Civic. They can make a package for maybe $1,500 or $2,000 that customers who want these features can put on there, and then so they'll be able to kind of cut some cost, but they'll be able to put out a much more competitive product. Many people would say that putting the 2-liter in the Civic Si would kind of encroach on the Type R's space within the territory, and I don't think so. If we're being conservative, let's say the next generation Type R makes 310 horsepower, and the Civic Si with the 2-liter turbo is a 250 horsepower car. I think that's definitely a big enough gap in between performance. That's about 60 horsepower. Plus, with the Type R, you're getting all these other performance upgrades in terms of handling that'll make it one of the fastest front-wheel drive cars around the Nürburgring. So I think the SI with the 2-liter would be the perfect place if you want to spend that $28,000 on the car and you don't want to deal with the bad boy racer look of the Civic Type R and spend $7,000 more plus dealer markups. I think that's where this car's niche would be. And finally, the car would be actually competitive with the cars in its class. The current Civic Si, even though it's a good car with its 1.5-liter turbo engine, it's just not competitive with. If you're looking for the best of performance, if you're looking for like one of the top performers in the hot hatch, hot sedan category, you're going to be looking at a Golf 8, the Veloster, the Elantra, and when it comes out, the Veloster ends out there. Even some people might look at a Mazda 3 Turbo, even though it's not a Mazda 3 speed, and even the WRX, even though both of those cars are all-wheel drive. But I think if you were to put this engine into the new Si, it'll kind of give people a reason to go for the Honda version in that Honda heritage. compared to these other cars here. So, anyways, I'm pretty much done here. What do you think Honda should do in regards to the next Civic Si? So, be sure to type your comments down below. I'll be reading them and replying to them. If you want to see me drive a Civic, please like and subscribe. This will help me actually get in connections with dealers and stuff, so I can actually make this happen, and it'll support me in the future as well. And thank you for watching.